Hey there guys, it is me Alex, and today I'm going to show you how to play Frankenstein Mystery Game by Hasbro. Now this one was quite a rare treat to find. It was made in 1963, or at least produced, published, all that jazz. And I thought it was just such a cool and neat thing to find out about, and I'm going to let you know how to play this game. The game starts by having all your a token, to at least a token stand to represent which player is who. Uh, all all characters start in the lab, and your goal is to move your pawns about. And let's see, where is move the characters about to the different locations, and your goal is to capture, or to take the Frankenstein card, and then to move your way back to the lab. So the Frankenstein monster for the players looks exactly like the black and white figure for the cards. I'm not going to take it out of the bag because these are delicate as it is. The goal behind these little tabs, they're little token things. You put the paper figures, like the little slots inside the token stands. But anyways, we'll go ahead and start moving this about. The way you determine who goes first is you take the little spinner here, spin it around. Highest number person goes first, and then you just go in the order of highest and lowest numbers. Anyways, after determining who goes first, you shuffle the cards here for the monster field cards, and there are 7 locations scattered throughout here. There's the haunted house, the bridge, the city morgue, the cemetery, the mill, the woods, and the tower. You put one monster card, game card, in each location. And then after placing them all down, you spin the spinner there, and whatever number it lands on, this one's a 2. That's how many spaces you can move. Each square is a space. So 1, 2. What's important to note is that no matter what you do, no matter how many spaces you have to move either horizontally or vertically. You can't move diagonally like that. So and the number on the spinner, that's how many spaces you have to move up to. You don't have to move exactly 4. So 1, 2, and you can go over people. 3, 4. That's actually not stated in the rules that you can go over people, but I'm going to assume so because it'll be quite the cluster in the lab when first starting the game. But yeah, I rolled lab, so that means I have to immediately go back to the lab, which is kind of a pain in the butt. But anyways, I'll just keep going here. Um, Pick up a card. I picked up the Tower Keeper. None of the game cards have any special effects. It's just that you have to have the Frankenstein card in order to win if you have it. Now, one of the neat features behind this is if you do pick up a game card, you do not show it to anybody else. You only keep it to yourself. If another person has a game card in their hand, so each person has one, you can then challenge the other player and say, I think you have the Frankenstein monster card. You can do this anytime when it's not your turn. So, like, if it's player two's turn, then you can challenge them, but as soon as your turn starts, you cannot challenge anybody to see if they have the Frankenstein card. I think this is due to prevent people from, being right next to the lab and then say, I challenge you, I challenge you, I challenge you, and until they get somebody right, that sort of thing. You can only challenge 3 times. There is no limit on how many times you can challenge in one turn, but we can have up to 3 challenges before you can no longer accuse people of having the monster card. And I'll start flipping over the Frankenstein cards just for looks here. Because this is a little bit damaged, you can kind of tell which card's the Frankenstein card. But that's just me messing around here. But anyways, once you pick up the Frankenstein card, your goal is to move it back to the lab. And this the lab space has a little opening slot right here. You have to move vertically into it. You cannot move horizontally into it because it's barred off. However, all the spaces on the locations are all, fully black bordered. That doesn't mean that you can't go through them. You still have to land directly on the space, but you don't have to go in through them in a specific order. Now, finally, the only main rule that you need to learn is that there's locations on the side called safe, located around the board. You cannot be accused while you're in those safe spaces. And yeah, that's how you play the Frankenstein mystery game. It's definitely a lot of like cloak and dagger style gameplay, and I was just surprised how solid of a game this actually is. It doesn't mess with you too hard. I mean, like the only thing that's a troll move, but it's also a good thing sometimes, is landing on the lab card. Because if you have the Frankenstein card and you spin the lab, you just won the game without really even trying so much. And that's what makes it interesting. Is it's both a blessing and a curse at the same time. And just the rest of it all as like as a guessing style game, it's really cool. So I hope you learned about this. I'll go off and tell you what the seven game cards are. Just as a last thing, it's the Woodsman, the Policeman, the Witch, the Gravedigger, the Undertaker, the Tower Keeper, and Frankenstein. Overall, I think this was a really well done themed game, and if you have the opportunity, play it. So there you go. Bye bye, guys.